in a building project, the cost of the land and the cost of the construction together are huge, and the cost of cutting a tree in comparison to this cost is really negligible. And this is in case of cities where you actually actively pay a penalty in case of tree felling. In most towns, villages, in other parts of the country, you don't have a monetary fine for tree felling. The fine for cutting a tree is minuscule in comparison to the cost of the land and the cost of building. So nothing prevents you as a client, as a building owner, as the state, to cut the tree if it's coming in the middle of your site, or if it poses any kind of encumbrance, which is how a tree is seen as in a project. When we conceptualize developmental projects and we think about things that will help us, like the metro, or building bus terminals, or expanding roads, making new townships, trees always come in the way, and that's in our language. They are always an obstruction. They seem to be, we are constantly pitting them against public good, and we're saying, oh ho, ye to ped raste mein aa gaye. How do we deal with them? So first is that the way we look at trees, it's always it's like an obstructive force, because if you have to choose between a metro and trees, trees wouldn't hold any chance. But look at what we are going through in Delhi right now. We've had the worst summer. We're having incessant rains, we have waterlogging. If you consider the redevelopment of an old plot, say a 500 square yard plot with few existing trees in the garden, and you're redeveloping this and making 4 new apartments which must accommodate at least 8 or 9 or 10 cars maybe for it to be approved as 4 dwelling units, there is no chance that the trees that stand on this piece of land will be allowed to stay. The cost of the property and the cost of the construction just completely outweighs the logic of the trees. You have to imagine a situation when the entire defense colony will be redeveloped and all the ground floors would have moved a floor above. At the street level, you would have only car parks. All of the basements would be built into concrete troughs, and you only have to imagine where will the trees go and where will your water run off, because you have literally made an entire concrete basement out of a defense colony. And this is happening neighborhood to neighborhood, and this is happening despite the goodwill of several residents who want to protect that standing gulmohar tree outside their property, but they are completely unable to. The bylaws give us no protection, they give us no incentive. They give us also no innovative solution to save that one lone standing tree outside our driveway. So you will grow trees that have shallower roots that can grow quickly, and they are basically decorative over a manicured green belt. But old trees that occur in clusters, they will have to go. A lot of the trees that we see around us, the trees that we engage with on a daily basis, trees on the side of the road, trees in our colony parks, these are trees that are unprotected by the Forest Act. Delhi is one of the unique cities or states which has the Delhi Tree Preservation Act as well, which does pose some amount of hindrance, some friction if you want to do away with the trees around us. But urban trees, in contrast to forests, which are in some ways better protected than these trees in our colonies, are valuable. This idea that old trees can be replaced with a 10x or a 100x number of saplings is really misplaced. And the fact that you can cut here and you can plant there is also something that needs to be questioned. It's everybody's job to protect the trees. The government, let's begin with that, they are the largest landowners. They own large uninterrupted plots of land which have green cover. They own the highways, they own large forests, and so their responsibility is of course prime. But being the owners, from my limited experience of working with the government, they also act as the keepers of everything that land holds. They need to work as stewards, as people who safeguard things that exist on that land. The founder of the New Delhi Nature Society, Virhen, and I learned from him what he calls this concept of tree blindness. He says we just don't see trees, we suffer from tree blindness, and it's true. So the minute we actually are able to see the trees and we are able to see them and appreciate all that they do for us, we'd be able to find ways to protect them. It's about time that we talk about its preservation like a cultural asset, like a humanitarian asset, that we really need this to be able to survive. It's not a matter of thriving anymore. We just need to maintain what we have to be able to tide over the next few years, and we of course need to mitigate.